Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Getting ready to head out to the hospital. I've got work this weekend, but I did want to put out an end of the week recap. And we can go over here. Basically, you can see my portfolio with a current value of 82,000, currently up 21,200. Did have a little bit of a rough week. It was very patchy in the Dow, especially in the SPYs. As you can see, we're basically just kind of chugging along up and down. Really, the market didn't make much in terms of the week. The market finished down, as you can see right here, down almost 0.6%. Spies finished up 0.3. Nothing really going on there. And of course, the Nasdaq finished down, as well as you can see the Dow, the Nasdaq. The only thing that was positive was the Spies, and it was barely positive. So for the most part, it was a fairly choppy week. There was a lot going on. We did make a couple of buys in the portfolio. The biggest buy that I called out in the middle of the week, of course, were those shares that I bought down here in MO. I had purchased MO in the M1 in my long term in my what's it called in my TD account, and I had purchased a little bit in the Webull account. I only bought 20 shares down here, but we bought quite a bit more in the long-term portfolio. You can see right here, currently we've got about 41 invested. We're currently long 91.4 shares from 45.31, and we got filled. I had bought another 800, and then I bought another 250. Let's see over here. So I bought some more MO over here at 250. I believe this was filled at 47.05. And then earlier on in the week, we had made another purchase over here at 46.19. And so I had called it out. Of course, like I said before, you can always follow me on Twitter. A lot of times I don't have time to post a video. And so you can always follow me on Twitter. I'll leave the link. I always put the link across. Anyways, so for the week we finished up, right? Not exactly up so much, but we did better than the overall market. As you can see, up 318. We've captured 1186 in dividends, and for the month we did fairly well. For the month, as you can see, up 34.37 with 151 captured in dividends. And so we're basically holding on to quite a few positions. I did add a little bit more to stocks like Peloton. So Peloton looks like it might be breaking below. As you can see over here, we did close below the resistance, so Peloton could see a bit of a move to the downside. We're going to see if it's going to hold at around 70. Peloton is going to be a little bit of a longer term play. I do think that we will see more lockdowns. Of course, they're having a little bit of an issue with they're a little bit overvalued, although they have pulled back roughly about 38% or so, almost 40% on the pullback. And of course, there was some incident. I think a kid their parents weren't watching them, and a bike fell on top of the kid, and there was some sort of an injury. And so, of course, any kind of news like that is always going to drive down a stock. And then people are thinking, well, everything's kind of getting back to normal, and maybe people won't like the service, but I think Peloton will do well, moving forward. We will see a pullback, but it'll give me an opportunity just basically to buy the dip, as they say. I kind of do like Peloton, very much so with stocks like MO. That huge pullback to the downside was a buying opportunity, in my opinion, because the news that came out really isn't going to hurt the stock, especially with the news of banning menthols or whatever nonsense that they're referring to. I think the company will do well. They're getting involved more with marijuana, so that may be an alternative of where they could move some of their products over to. And of course, with lowering the amount of nicotine, etc., it's just going to cause individuals to more than likely end up smoking more, which is just bring in more revenue. Overall, I do think it will be good for the stock. And we did have earnings, and of course they did well on earnings, beating earnings, and I think it was doing well as well on revenue. I primarily did buy more of it also for the dividend, as you can see right there, 7.38%. So in my opinion, it was a buying opportunity, which is also why I am in stocks, for example, like Canopy Growth. Canopy Growth, we have the support right here, roughly around 26. Along with the 200 moving average at around 25, 2560, 2570, etc. And so I ended up selling some calls. This was a really good week to sell calls, taking advantage of any sort of movement to the upside. And I basically sold calls. I have 200 shares long of CGC from 27, and then I basically when it came up, it came all the way up to like 28 and change, and I sold a 28 call as well, and I have another 26 call that I'm whole 20, excuse me, a 27 call that I believe expires today. We can go ahead and take a look at the Webull. And you can see over here, as you can see right here, so I'm long from 2706, so almost 07. And as you can see, I sold a call right there that's going to expire at the end of next Friday. And I sold that one for 94. Whoops, I kind of screwed up here. And where are we? It's out. Darn it, I shouldn't have done that. All right, let's open this back up. I always should just pull out the positions, make my life easier, as you can see. And so looking at here, and so you can see the next 100 that I sold a 28 call. Where are we? There we go. There's a 28 call. That one expired today, right? So that was for $20. So that was the one that I actually had another one for 27. I sold that one in the money. I ended up buying that one back in the money, and then selling another call for 20, which expired again today. So on Monday, if I do see a movement to the upside, I will more than likely sell another call. I will sell another call, and it's basically what I've been doing for the whole week. Did the same thing in fuel cell, which basically hedged me to the downside. It's been holding around $10, which is why I sold. Which is why you can see there I sold the call right there that also expired today for 31, so that hedged me to the downside. So even though we did see a bit of a pullback, overall I'm only down 19 and change. Same thing with Craft. I did end up, I believe I had a 41 call, covered that one in the money, sold another call. You can see on the Craft right there, the KHC, and I sold a call for 41.05, and I sold that one for $62, and as you can see, that one is $28 in the money. And of course, as you can see, I am long KHC from 38.87, and we're up $267 on that play. TNK actually came all the way up to 14 and change, and unfortunately I had sold that call. It was basically a learning experience of not selling calls too early, being patient on the downside, of kind of not panicking, thinking, you know, the stock's going to trade lower. Should have paid more attention to the chart and bought a little bit more on the dip. And so it was a good learning experience for me. I was actually up a little over 100 in the position. It came all the way up to like 13, excuse me, it came up to like 14 something on the stock. We can take a look at the chart right here. A bit of a rough day. As you can see, we came all the way up to as high as 14.35. And so what I should have done is been patient and sold the call around here when around $14. Instead, I sold it way low down when I was like around 12 or like low 13s, I forget. And so I didn't get as much. But all in all, I did end up selling that one for $90 on TNK with a 1250. I am long from 13. She's going to long from 13.13. So even if it goes out at 1250 and I get called for it, I'll still be in the money because even, you know, 1250 sell. So I'll lose like $40, but then I'll gain back I've already gained back 90 from the calls, so I'll still be in the money. So it's not a loss, and that one expires on the 21st. So it's quite some time. So I'm probably going to try to get out of this one in the money if I do see a pullback, and then resell a call when the stock comes up. Palantir is another one that it was a good week if you're into selling calls. There was a bit of movement to the upside, as you can see. 24s. Let's go ahead and look at it on this chart on Palantir. You can see right here, Palantir, for the most part, as you can see, 24s is the resistance. And so during here, you can see we had a movement as high as 24.26, and so I ended up selling another call on Palantir. I had covered one and got back in. I had covered one and sold another one. This was a 24 call that I sold for $1.16, and so I'm long from 23.28, but because of the call, it actually makes me long 22.13. And so this basically, because the support is down here at 21, so it kind of gives me more of a middle ground to be long at 22, and that's basically kind of why I had done that. Similarly with stocks like Cron is another wheat stock that I believe MO is heavily invested in. And so I'm long 200 of Tron at 811. And I sold one call that expires next week. So I'm kind of doing weekly calls now. So I'm trying to, instead of going for like 3 weeks or a month, etc., if I get a good price and I see quite a bit of fluctuation when the stock is basically trading sideways, so I use the opportunity to sell calls as close to the resistance as possible. So I sold an 850 call for $25. I'm long 100 shares from 811, and then I have another 100 shares that I sold. Both of these options expire next week on next Friday. The other one that I sold is right here. You can see it at the bottom over here. CRON, and you can see a long 100, and I sold that one. That is an $8 one, and I sold that one for $45. So at best, we'll make, if the stock breaks above 850, at best I'll make $30. If it holds where it is, I'll be in the money for roughly around maybe $66 on that for the week. So all in all, it works out just fine. Still long MO. The 20 shares that I got long, I don't know, you should be able to see it maybe right down there. You can see the shares that I got long. I'm long 20 of MO from $46. The stock is trading at closed at $47.75, and that was basically what I had done, at least in terms of the swing trading for the week, trying to get better and creating a much better system for myself. And I do like trading the call, so it is something that I'm getting used to outside. But previously I was only trading 25 shares, 50 shares, 75 shares. On occasion I would do maybe 100 or 125. So I'm persistently trying to do 100 shares and then look for opportunities to write calls and see how well that works. All in all, it seems to be working okay. Of course, picking good spots and picking good stocks that are trading in a channel, especially when the market is this choppy. And basically all in all, that's where we were for the week. We had a good week overall. I think between my portfolios, we probably did around 4,000 for the month, so I can't complain. Even in the TD, we were up a little bit for the month. So all in all, I can't complain. Next week, we will be, of course, keeping an eye on everything that I currently hold and looking for more opportunities. For example, in stocks like Peloton, we've seen a lot of earnings move. A lot of stocks have moved to the downside, especially on a day like today, where we saw a nice big pullback in Exxon. I am still holding Exxon above 56s. Also, the same thing with, we've seen pullbacks in Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo now at 45. We did see quite a bit of a pullback. Rio breached the 86s and closed below, so it is an opportunity. We'll see if we will hold. And these are basically the stocks that I am swinging in my M1 and of course X. I'm basically going to close out this position anywhere above 24. We did see a push to 24, and unfortunately the stock did pull back. As you can see, basically for the most part, looking at the chart, you can see 24 is a big resistance, and every time we do breach it, even on volume, that the sellers just come in and sell it right down. And of course, even though X did have good earnings, as you can see, they beat by 20 cents. And so we might see a little bit of a pullback, and then of course a surge coming, as I do believe commodities will continue to rise, especially steel and other minerals. And so we could see a little bit of a pullback in stocks like Rio and an X, and then finally see a surge to the upside. Very similarly with Exxon, that's been trading to the side, and Exxon also did have good earnings as well. Very similarly with Wells Fargo. And so these are the stocks that I'll basically be keeping my eye on, with looking to get out of close to half my position. If we see Wells Fargo hit 50, then I will basically sell out of half of my position. To the downside, a breach of 44s, I'll sell half and then hold the rest at $40. That will be my next out if we do see quite a bit of a pullback to the downside. I have no idea if that will be the case, but that's basically what we're going to be looking for. It's basically what I'll be looking for the next couple of weeks. For the next week, we'll see if any news comes out, especially as it's starting to get warmer. We could see people more out and driving, maybe taking trips, and so we could see gas prices surge, and that's basically what I'm going to be keeping an eye on. I'm going to keep this one short. Feel free, of course, to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Got to get ready for work at the hospital tonight, and I'll catch you next time. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care. God bless.